Well, hello again and welcome back to my channel. Now we have reached the stage where we are cladding the front of the workshop, and I always wanted this, I always intended this to be something a little bit special, shall we say. It's not that I'm not really happy with the sides and the back. When that went on last week's video with the shiplap cladding, it looks fantastic when it's gone on, but I want that front to be just a little bit something extra. Unfortunately, I can't afford that little bit something extra at the moment. Well, at least I thought I couldn't until I was put in touch with a local timber merchant of mine called A.B. Lewis, which is in Formby in Merseyside. And I'll leave the details in the description if you're interested, maybe once you've seen the end of the video. And they suggested possibly using this. Okay, just show you the overlap profile there. Now, pardon my pronunciation, this is called either Keruing or Keruing, K-E-R-U-I-N-G. It's 22mm thick and it's just got this kind of overlap profile. Now, this stuff is used for container lorry floors, so it's not exactly a cladding as such, but if it's hard wearing enough for a container lorry floor, it is certainly hard wearing enough for my workshop front. So I had a look at it, had a little chat with the guys, and I ordered some, measured up and ordered. Now I think the majority of their business is with the trade or industry, if you like, but they are happy to do private sales like they did with myself as well. So it's arrived, and what I'm going to do is quickly talk you through our method before cutting to what in effect is like a time-lapse video of the construction and putting it up. So, firstly, it did need some prep. Okay, so I need to sand it down. I just sanded it to 80 grit, didn't want it too fine. And the finish I'm using, front and back, is this Osmo UV Protection Oil. Now, this one's the extra, and it says that it's only one coat needed. So that's all I did. So I coated that front and back. Now, with this kind of profile, unlike the shiplap where I could actually one arm it and place it down on the groove, this is definitely a minimum of a two-man job. Not just because of the profile, because I can't rest it on there, but also the weight. I think the longest boards we were fitting was just over 4.8 meters, so it's quite heavy stuff. So Pam's dad, Dave, very kindly agreed to come down over the course of a couple of days, and this is our method that we constructed. So obviously the first piece had to be perfect, and we did that using the Hupar laser level. Actually, I figured a way of getting the laser level right down low with the stand I've got. I'll just show you a picture now. Yeah, and that works really well. So once we got the actual first piece down and level, it's a case of just adding the layers and the layers. So we got the boards on and we used a 3mm spacer in between each board for two reasons, with obviously with a little bit of expansion, but also the actual groove itself, which when it's been routed, I didn't route these when it came, it wasn't 100% perfect on all of the boards. And when you're dealing with nearly 5 meter length, there's going to need to be a little bit of wiggle room, shall we say, when you're fitting these on. So that's how they went on, and then I tacked them on with my Rutland's brad nailer, 18 gauge brad nailer. Again, this is not structural, it's just literally to hold it in place. And then we used the Countersink, my trend Countersink bit, and then went along with and installed using these galvanized 90mm screws. Now, this is where it's different to the sides and the back. We used 2 fixings per board as we went along, as opposed to the traditional one. Now, some people say, oh no, you can't be doing that. 2, because of the weight of these boards, they're heavy. So as we've gone along, I thought it's probably more important for 2. And also expansion on this is going to be extremely minimal, if any, I'd say. Now, I'm sure some people know a lot more about that than I would, but we decided to go with the 2. Going to have to monitor the situation. If I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake, and I'll have to rectify it further down the line. So that's our system that we built up as we went along. Oh, and the all-important IKEA Beckford chair, 2 of them. God, they don't have come in handy, them things, in the workshop and outside as well. So I think what we'll do is we'll just cut to the time lapse of putting the big panels up, and then I'll come back to you to explain the sides and the drawbridge in a minute. Okay, hope you enjoy the video. So that's a big section of the front cladding done, and it took us really 2 days to do that, just kind of pacing. Again, I've talked about this in previous videos, so plenty of breaks, and we didn't want to overdo it over the course of a day. Probably at a push we could have done, but we decided to break it down, do it over 2 days. So we decided the next stage was to do the other side of the drawbridge door, and then finally to attach the cladding panels to the drawbridge itself. So that involved actually cutting everything to size. So I did that on my miter saw with the extension wings on my Capex and the UG. Again, I've got a video about that that stand if you're interested. Now, just see me cutting some of the things to size here. Please don't shoot me down for wearing a glove. I had quite a nasty blister across my hand, so I needed to be careful of that, make sure it wasn't getting infected. And apologies for the actual beginning bit of this cladding set on that side. I did film it, I thought I filmed it, but the memory on my phone was full, so I stood there for took us about an hour or so, and then went round and realised it wasn't filming at all. Again, for that first panel, we lined it up with the laser to make sure, really wanted to try and get that continuous line across the cladding over the 3 sections, and we were kind of really hopeful it was going to work out. And as you might see later on, yeah, we were really happy with that end result. So let's cut to the cladding where we go to the round the rest of the window and over the top, and I'll bring you back just to this bit to talk about the drawbridge before that goes on. So once we reached this stage, my smile was going from broad to beaming when you take an actual step back, and we were looking at it going, wow, this looks better than I possibly ever could have imagined. It was looking fantastic. So the last stage was to get the cladding boards on the actual drawbridge door. Now, I actually cut these slightly oversized for each one, because as you went up either side, from the bottom to the top, there was a discrepancy of about 1.5 millimeters. All right, I've got to be honest with you, it wasn't completely perfect, but I think 1.5 mil is a decent enough tolerance for anyone out there. Also wanted to have a slight little gap either side, so it wasn't going to catch when the drawbridge actually does extend down and come back up. So what we done was we just basically measured up, took the panel inside to the miter saw, trimmed it down, brought it back. Same principle, tacked it with the brad nailer with the spacers in, and then fixed it in place with the countersink first, and then driving the fixings in. So let's cut to that last bit, or the final bit, because it's there's a kind of an overlap. I just cut the actual panel down the length of the table saw, and the kerf of the blade, which is about 2 mil, gave me a big enough gap on the top. So let's cut to that, have a look at it, and we'll see you at the end.
Into that. Mind your dad.
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't do anything.
I think it's enough space there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Right, I think.
Well, to put it quite simply, I'm absolutely over the moon with it. It looks incredible, the final finish, and we managed to get it aligned so the actual long board to the drawbridge door to the other side, and it works a treat. It looks, oh, I'm just so happy with it, I genuinely am. Okay, there's still plenty more jobs to do. I want to build the corner pieces because I've got some left over at the kerosene wood. So I'm going to build the corner pieces for that because I want it to look nice and chunky, kind of like a fort, almost going along the theme of the drawbridge. So I'm going to do them for the front and the back. Oh, there's a million and one other jobs to do. Oh, thank you to my Instagram followers for giving me advice for actually putting the final piece on. You will notice there's a piece missing where the hinges are for the drawbridge coming down. So I've had some good ideas for that, so thank you very much. So we've got the corners to do. I've got to get some guttering on, got to get that sorted. Actually, and there's still 2 more pieces to put on the front, just where the flashings come down. I need to cut a length down the table saw, which it's about that big really, so I need to get that on, and Dave's going to come back and we're going to get those final 2 pieces installed. We're getting there. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. I've still got to work on the interior design. I've got this side sorted. So I've got my sanding station over there, which is looking all right. I've got the lovely Axminster tray playing the thicknesser in the right place. But yeah, there's still a million and one jobs to do. I've got to spray, I've got to coat the outside of the shiplap cladding. I'm just going to use some, you're going to use my Wagner spray gun for that, video for that one as well. So yeah, thank you for everyone for following me to this stage up to now. Please get in touch for some feedback. Let me know what you think about it, any improvements you think I can make. You know, I'm really genuinely grateful for all the advice I get from you guys. There's no way this would have got constructed if it wouldn't have been for your support and help. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this one, folks. So thanks for watching. As ever, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.